hiding behind that pole. On the Zoom thing.
I guess it's supposed to volume.
Get on, stand in front of the pole.
Yeah, you like Larson.
Adjust.
Larson, the tape. Right next to the colonel. Great.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Clayton, for hosting us here. Do you want to share a few words first?
Good afternoon and greetings, everyone. My name is Reverend Kenneth Clayton. I'm the pastor of the St. Luke Baptist Church here in Patterson. St. Luke has been in this city since 1927. I have served the St. Luke Church as pastor since 1997. We have a great commitment to the improvement of life in our community. We have had the pleasure of working with the Attorney General's office on several occasions on various efforts to ensure that our community becomes safer and whole. And it's our pleasure to host you again today.
Thank you, Pastor, for having us here today and for your partnership. And this is such a special church. I've been lucky to have the opportunity to come to you many times and look forward to continuing to work with you. And for all the work that you've done in Patterson, and thank you all for being here. I'm joined today by the Director of the Division of Criminal Justice, Pearl Minato, Colonel, Superintendent of the State Police, Pat Callahan, and Acting Special Agent in charge of ATF Newark Field Division, Brian Miller. We're here today to announce the indictment of 15 members of a major interstate gun trafficking ring that allegedly transported more than 120 weapons, including assault rifles and large capacity magazines from South Carolina into New Jersey, where they were illegally sold. In fact, they were sold right here in Patterson. It didn't take long for these weapons to find their way into the hands of individuals who were engaged in unlawful conduct. 3 of the handguns trafficked by this outfit were seized from individuals during narcotics arrest unrelated to today's investigation. Another firearm was left behind by a gunman in a botched attempt of an Uber driver. In total, 12 guns linked to this weapons trafficking ring were recovered during this investigation. These included an AR-15 assault rifle that we seized from the alleged ringleader during this operation as he was arriving in Patterson shortly before Christmas last year with yet another fresh cache of guns ready to unload into the city. This investigation was called Operation Bad Santa, both because of the timing and because in conversations that they were having with each other, the defendants often referred to the weapons that they were trafficking by the code name of toys. These were, of course, not toys. They were lethal weapons, and they were the kinds of instruments of destruction that have spread fear throughout the city, that have threatened the peace of its residents, and that continue to claim lives in Patterson and throughout our state. New Jersey's efforts to collaborate, communicate, and share resources, evidenced by the interdisciplinary, interagency, and frankly across every state, federal, and local level of government, these efforts to combat gun violence are working. They've led to a statewide reduction in the number of shooting incidents and gun-related murders. Patterson has been a very strong partner in those efforts. The work of law enforcement throughout the city, in close collaboration with our clergy and members of the Patterson community, including our violence intervention groups, have successfully brought down shootings in the city by 26% relative to the same point in time last year. But we know that reducing the threat of guns and gun violence is an uphill battle when criminals have easy access to the kinds of lethal weapons allegedly trafficked into the city by the 15 individuals that are indicted, that we're announcing as indictment today. We know that the vast majority of guns used in the commission of crimes in Patterson and throughout the state of New Jersey did not originate here, which is why it's critical that we stop the flow of illegal firearms into our state and into our communities. And it's also critical that we hold those accountable who would profit off of this bloodshed. So the takedown of this criminal enterprise led by the Division of New Jersey State Police did just that. Director Minato will provide additional details to you shortly on the charges in this case, but I can tell you that these defendants, under the direction of their alleged ringleader, Travis Thomas, are charged with being a major source of illegal firearms here in Paterson. We allege that once a month, Thomas, who is a South Carolina resident with family ties to Paterson, called on a group of 5 gun buyers in his home state of South Carolina, directing them to procure for him an array of firearms that were transported to be sold into the city, through a network of 9 middlemen also working for him. The South Carolina buyers allegedly obtained their weapons through street buys, at times purchasing guns that had already passed through many hands, and turned them over to Thomas for cash. Thomas then sent photos of these weapons to his middlemen, who shopped them around to buyers in Paterson. During the course of a 1-month investigation, 12 guns linked to this trafficking network were recovered by the state police and other law enforcement agencies. Among these weapons were an assault rifle, 6 semi-automatic pistols, 3 revolvers, and 2 handguns. Investigators with the state police arrested Thomas on December 10, 2021, as he had arrived in Paterson with 3 weapons that he intended to sell here. Evidence subsequently recovered from Thomas's cell phone and from his social media accounts revealed that he had been running this illegal gun trafficking operation since December of 2018. During that time, the defendants conspired to traffic more than 120 firearms into the city of Paterson. The investigation and takedown of gun trafficking operation and the prosecution of Travis Thomas and his alleged co-conspirators not only shuts down this illegal weapons pipeline and, of course, holds those accountable who deserve to be held accountable, but it sends a clear message about the type of conduct that we will not tolerate here in New Jersey. We're very fortunate to have some of the strongest gun safety laws in the country, and it's also no coincidence that we have one of the lowest rates of gun violence in the country. These laws are intended to, and in fact do, protect our communities and allow our residents to live in peace, free from the worry that a stray bullet or an angry individual with a gun may take their life or the life of a loved one. But we know that these protections can be undermined by someone at a state who's intent on breaking our laws to make money, without regard to the damage that they'll inflict or the lives that they'll destroy. And Paterson, as the Reverend knows too well, has not been immune to the epidemic of gun violence. There's been some horrific shootings just this year alone. Monique Bird, a 15-year-old, killed in May by a stray bullet, a girl who was a dancer. She dreamed of owning her own store, and she was known by her friends for always standing up to bullies in her school. Robert Quadro was killed just at the start of this year, 18 years old, an honor student killed by a stray bullet as he was unloading groceries for his grandmother, both here in this great city of Paterson. It's for these lives lost senselessly to gun violence, as well as those who tragically stay behind to mourn them, that we remain resolute and steadfast in our commitment to taking guns off the streets and to bringing an end to the gun violence epidemic. I want to thank all of our partners who participated and assisted in this investigation, many of whom are standing behind me today. Particularly, I want to thank the women and men of the Division of Criminal Justice, led by Deputy Director Pearl Minato, Deputy Bureau Chief Cassie Montalto, Deputy Attorney General Warren Infantis, Karen Brashashevsky, and Jesse Magliulo. The State Police, too many here to name, but Colonel, under your leadership, and the women and men who work for you, who brought these perpetrators to justice. Thank you for everything you do, and of course, to the ATF and all of their great agents. The way we solve these cases is really through our partnerships, and we're very fortunate here. Unfortunately, this week we've been saying it probably more than we like, how great and strong these partnerships are and how much work goes into maintaining them, and what they produce is on display here today in this great case. I thank you all for what you did here, but more importantly, for what you do every day to keep the residents of this state safe. I'll now turn it over to Director Minato, who will provide additional details on the investigation.
Thank you, Attorney General Blacken. Good afternoon, everyone. I do want to offer more details with regard to the Bad Santa investigation and prosecution. As Attorney General Blacken indicated, we are prioritizing the investigation and prosecution of firearms offenders. This includes prosecuting those who use guns to commit crimes, illegally possess guns, those who traffic guns into our state, as well as those who basically provide guns to criminals who otherwise would not be able to secure them. This investigation began in November 2021 when members of the New Jersey State Police Trafficking Central Unit were able to successfully identify Joaquin Perry as a firearms distributor in Paterson, New Jersey. The state police ultimately determined that Perry was obtaining firearms from an individual identified as Travis Thomas. Thomas, who was traveling from South Carolina to Paterson, New Jersey, to provide and supply Perry and others with those firearms. On December 10, 2021, New Jersey State Police detectives arrested Thomas after he arrived in New Jersey from South Carolina on bus. In his possession were 3 weapons, to include 2 handguns and 1 assault rifle. After the arrest of Thomas, the state police conducted extensive follow-up investigation into Thomas's cell phone as well as Facebook account. And this revealed that Thomas obtained those firearms from 5 separate individuals located in South Carolina and brought the firearms into our state between the timeframes of December 2018 through December of 2021. Our investigation revealed that Thomas utilized a network of Paterson-based associates who assisted in the distribution of the firearms in various ways, by sending money to Thomas when he was in South Carolina so that he could purchase the weapons, by paying for his transportation so that he could travel to and back from New Jersey and South Carolina, by storing the weapons in New Jersey, as well as trying to find potential buyers in our state. The investigation also showed that the communications between Thomas and his co-conspirators were explicit. By that I mean Thomas frequently sent photos along with photos of not only the guns but the magazines as well as prices attached to it. The co-conspirators, along with Thomas, also would oftentimes refer to the brand name of the guns as well as the caliber of the weapons. We also see that Thomas additionally sold high-capacity ammunition, that is, ammunition capable of holding more than 10 rounds, as well as hollow-nose bullets, both of which are legal in our state. During the course of this investigation, as General Blacken referenced, 12 firearms, including 1 assault rifle linked to this trafficking network, were distributed by Travis Thomas to his various middlemen or were recovered during the course of our investigation in the state. 4 of these guns were recovered in connection with crimes unrelated to this investigation. Specifically, 3 were recovered from defendants charged with drug offenses, and 1 was recovered at a scene of an attempted robbery. The seriousness of Travis Thomas's and his network's activity is reflected in the charges that's brought forth in this indictment. All the defendants have been charged with first-degree racketeering and second-degree conspiracy. The first-degree racketeering charge carries a sentence of 10 to 20 in New Jersey State Prison. What it also carries is a period of parole ineligibility, 85% of the sentence that's imposed. Additionally, Thomas is charged with a first-degree leader of a firearms trafficking network, which carries a flat sentence of 10 to 20 years in New Jersey State Prison. So, if Travis Thomas is convicted of both these charges, I'm talking about racketeering as well as the leader charge, he could face up to 20 to 40 years in New Jersey State Prison. The indictment also charges 9 New Jersey-based middlemen. These defendants participated in finding buyers for those guns that Thomas was bringing into New Jersey. The middlemen typically charged their buyers more than what they paid Thomas for the guns, on average about 3 times more, ensuring that they were going to make a profit. 5 of those middlemen, namely Joaquin Perry, Kamar Walker, Kerry Washington, Taquan Evans, and William Thomas, are charged with certain persons offenses, which means that they had prior felony convictions that prohibit them from possessing a firearm. These certain persons charges is a second-degree offense and carries with it 5 to 10 years in New Jersey State Prison with a mandatory parole ineligibility period of 5 years. The New Jersey-based defendants are as follows. Marquetta Wilson, who is Thomas's New Jersey-based girlfriend who sent Thomas money to help him purchase the weapons in South Carolina, paid for his transportation to come back and go to South Carolina, held firearms for Thomas, and also found firearms purchasers in this state for Travis Thomas. Joaquin Perry, one of Thomas's New Jersey-based contacts who found firearms purchasers for Thomas in New Jersey. Perry is also charged with a certain persons offense. William Thomas, another one of Thomas's New Jersey-based middlemen, and is also charged with a certain persons offense. Kamar Walker, another New Jersey-based middleman for Thomas, and also charged with a certain persons offense. Kerry Washington, one of Thomas's New Jersey-based middlemen, again, charged with a certain persons offense. Taquan Evans, another middleman that was identified, and again, charged with a certain persons offense. Then we have additionally Neilzon Williams, Kaim Dow, as well as Kaizik McCaskill, all identified as additional middlemen for Travis Thomas. In addition, the indictment charges 5 South Carolina men with supplying firearms to Travis Thomas, and those defendants are as follows. Jaquan McCoy, Chris Johnson, Ralph Irvin, Vincent Irvin, and Dontrell Scott. That said, these activities and those like it clearly undermines the safety and security of us all in this state. And we pledge to continue these strategic investigations with our partners, targeting the trafficking of out-of-state firearms into New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Also want to recognize Deputy Director Mike Breslin, Chief Weldon Powell, for your work in these efforts. Colonel, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Pastor, for hosting. Good to be back in Patterson. Thank you, Director, certainly Brian Miller from the ATF. The collaborative effort here, and I see the women and men in the state police uniform. They don't do this job for the accolades or to stand in front of a podium. They do it because they know it makes a difference in saving people's lives across the state. As I stand here today, I think the number is 3. Right now, there's 330 less people shot today than there was last year. 330 people. And it's because of strategic investigations like this and the partnerships and women and men being willing to put their lives on the line so that the Roberts of Patterson and other cities can go to the grocery store and deliver them to their grandmother without being shot in the street. That's why the women and men involved in these investigations do it. I think about all of the weapons that have been seized here. Our data that we collect at our intelligence center shows that if we do not get a weapon, a crime weapon off the street, it's generally used between the next 3 to 4 weeks. You think about that. Within 3 to 4 weeks, that weapon that was used in Patterson might be used in Trenton, might be used in Newark. So the focus of investigations like this to seize weapons as they're coming into the state from wherever they're coming from, the criminals don't care about bridges and borders and rivers. They care about profit at the expense of the lives of those folks within our communities. And that's why I'm honored to be up here to offer the remarks on everybody involved in this investigation, those in and out of the state police uniform. Because as I stand here today in this church, I know that an officer didn't have to go to a family like Roberts and say that he wasn't coming home. And I can't put a number on it, but I know that a large amount of people are alive today because of the efforts of this investigation. And that's just the cold, hard truth. And I'm honored to stand shoulder to shoulder with everybody in these endeavors to make New Jersey the safest state in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Turn it over to Acting Special Agent in Charge at ATF, Brian Miller.
Attorney General Platkin, thank you very much. Colonel Callahan, thank you. Director Manano, thank you very much. Reverend, thank you. The trafficking of firearms to violent criminals, gangs, drug trafficking organizations, and prohibited persons presents a grave threat to public safety. ATF is the lead federal law enforcement agency that investigates firearms trafficking. Our goal is to reduce violent crime by restricting the flow of firearms to prohibited persons and violent criminals. Our Gun Crime Intelligence Center utilizes a variety of tools such as trace data and NIBIN, which is a National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, to identify firearms trafficking trends. However, one of our absolute best resources to combat firearms trafficking is working jointly with our partners in the New Jersey State Police, the Division of Criminal Justice, and the Attorney General's Office. At ATF, we are proud and honored to have such a great working relationship with these outstanding law enforcement organizations. The investigators and intelligence analysts from ATF and the New Jersey State Police work side by side every day to combat firearms trafficking. Our combined resources create a formidable investigative team that's dedicated to keeping firearms out of the hands of those who would use them or acquire them illegally. This investigation demonstrates how a partnership between our agencies produces results that keep the communities of New Jersey safer. That citizens of New Jersey should know that their state, federal, and local law enforcement partners are working together every day to keep the guns out of the hands of criminals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions?
By any chance, the guns that were bought in South Carolina, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, they were legally obtained in South Carolina and then illegally trafficked, correct?
Any legally obtained? They're all illegally obtained.
We don't have actually specific information with regard to the legality, but what I will say is this: our investigation did reveal that they were street purchases. That's what we have information on at this time.
One more. The 12 weapons, did I hear correctly that some of them were actually used in crimes in the city?
Yeah, 4 of the weapons were obtained in other crimes. 1, an attempted robbery of an Uber driver, 3 in separate narcotics arrests that were unrelated to this investigation, but the firearms were related. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.